Meaning God possesses all power, not only in heaven, but also on earth. I like the way this psalm is tailored because before the psalmist looks at himself, he first acknowledged his God. Before he attempts to explain himself, he decides to talk about his God to reflect upon his creator. Before he views himself in the mirror of personal reflection or self-image, he first shows off his God, and then he steps up behind God and he observes himself through the loving, transformative eyes of God. Since I like that, I'm gonna say it again. Before he looks at himself in the mirror of personal reflection and self-image, he first takes God and places God in front of him. And as if God is a corrective lens, he begins to look at himself through the loving, transformative eyes of God. I don't know who I'm talking to, but somebody needs to realize that the only way you will get a clear, precise, and correct picture of yourself, you will have to look at yourself through the eyes of God. You can't look at yourself through the eyes of your friends. You can't look at yourself through the eyes of pop culture because they will tell you you are a nobody. But when you look at yourself through the eyes of God, then and only then will you be able to hold your head up and say, I am somebody. As he looks at himself through the eyes of God, in verse 13, the psalmist asserts, for you did form me in my inward parts. He says, God, you did knit me together in my mother's womb. Now right there, the psalmist is saying, I am not an accident. He's saying that regardless of whether mama and daddy planned me or not, my birth was still divinely planned. He's saying, I know I am somebody. Why? Because God does not make junk. He's saying every single part of my body, regardless of how it looks, it still has God's stamp of approval on it. Then in verse